we've shared these 5 tips with you that we think are going to be helpful. I think we reminisced a little bit before we started recording about our first day. So I know that you went to community college, and something that's similar between Michelle and I is that we both started at community college, transferred to a 4-year university. So tell me a little bit about your first day.
Okay, so I went to Ranger. Shout out to the Rangers in Ranger, Texas. Ranger
Cowboys,
Junior College.
right?
Yeah,
Rangers?
we're Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cute little dude. So I went to Ranger, and that is 10 hours away from my hometown, which is Brownsville in the Valley. And I didn't think about it much then, but I think about it a lot now because of something my associate vice chancellor said today in one of our meetings. She said she's noticed that in Hispanic culture, the parents very much hand their children with this sense of trust to the institution. And it's always been that way, even when I was a public ed teacher and an administrator. And so I think now about my grandmother being brave enough to travel 10 hours driving when she didn't really ever drive out of town. I can't think of another time that she did that. But she took me, followed one of my best friends to Ranger College, 10-hour drive, and dropped me off, helped me set up my dorm, and then she drove home by herself. She was following someone, but she was by herself. And I think about that, I think about the bravery that it took to do that and how much fear she must have had to leave me there and to go back without me. And I was safe, and it was a great time, and I graduated, and I'm very proud of what I did there. But I do get emotional thinking about, how hard it must have been for her.
So was there an emotional moment, like the goodbye? Do you remember the hug?
I remember distinctly being in the dorm room and the bunk beds, the metal rail bunk beds and the built-in closets and desks, and I remember her hugging me and leaving, and I was more excited than anything else.
Yeah.
I didn't really get emotional, but I felt how weak she felt, how overwhelmed she felt, and thankfully she's still with us today. She's 83, right, Amelia? And she's a great grandmother, and she got to watch me graduate with my doctorate. So very symbolic moment for sure. You went to Blinn.
I did.
Our arch rival. Did you know that?
I did, because I was in the marching band, and we played football, right? And so, well, I didn't play football, but our teams played football against each other. So Ranger would come down, and I think one time we went to Ranger. There's nothing there, but we did go to Ranger.
This was what, 5 years ago?
5 or 6, somewhere around there. So I went to Blinn, and I have to tell you, it probably wasn't by choice. It was because of money, right? And I have a couple of stories that I just vividly remember. I remember, one of the things I remember is not knowing anything about financial aid, and a lady seeing my mom and I talking in Spanish outside in the hall about this bill that we had seen, right, which was $2,400, and at the time that was more than my parents' house payment. It was just this huge astronomical number, right?
Gosh, yeah.
And she could see, this white lady could see this kind of worry on us, and she took us in, and she helped explain financial aid and taxes and how this could help. And so my mom was very apprehensive of giving somebody our taxes, right, because of the income, and why would you want people to know all of this? But she did, and I could see the hesitation of my mom, but she overcame it and gave it, and I was able to go with some awards with Pell and some Texas grants, right? So I remember that kind of feeling and thought, but I also remember coming into the university or to the community college and not seeing anybody that looked like me, right?
You mentioned that.
There wasn't anybody in the room that physically looked like me, that connected with me, that didn't connect with me. There wasn't anyone that really I even thought that I could hang out with, right? And I remember my first day at Blinn, the line for parking was so long to get your parking tag, and I didn't have it, so I just thought I could park anywhere because
you're a student.
At the high school you could park anywhere, so I can park anywhere here, and that wasn't the case. And then I got a ticket, and I got like 6 tickets.
My gosh.
And I just thought tickets were like notifications, like, hey, you parked in the wrong spot. Didn't realize I had to pay them, and so I had to overcome a couple of those things. But I think when I went to the 4-year university and I went to Tech, that was really the hardest transition for me, because I still felt at home at the community college. I'd go home on the weekends. I didn't have a car, but my parents would pick me up, right? So I got to see and kind of still co-live with them. But at Tech, I remember distinctly similar stories. My mom drove all the way from Rockdale
How
to
far
Lubbock.
Is that?
It's probably 7.5 hours away from Lubbock, right? And Texas Tech was a choice for my mom, for me and Anna, and not so much for our parents, but they went and supported us, right? So they both dropped us off, but I was up there, a couple of days earlier than Anna. And
where did they want you to go?
Where did they? Well, they didn't say that they didn't indicate that they didn't want us to go to Tech. They actually supported us. But upon reflection, and now that you have a son, now that I have a son, I can read the signs that they didn't want me to go that far.
Yes, right? Yes.
Now,
that's going to come up later.
They never said don't go. They never said, right? They were very supportive.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't. But I think about just how much fear they had to overcome. Right? We're talking about our fears of being first generation, but their fears about letting you go to this new environment that they can't really help navigate you in. Right? But I remember my first day at Tech when I got my bed set, got everything done, and it was time to part ways, and I needed gas in my car, so Mom drove me out to the gas station at the farthest point of Lubbock upon the exit from the county there, and she gassed me up, and it was just this moment that I knew in my life would be the separation. Right. And I can just remember it was official. Like it was in a different town. I was in a different county. I was almost in a different state. Right. And it was the separation. And every time I drive into Lubbock or go by, I see that gas station and I think about that moment. Right. And I've asked her about it, and she said it was an emotional, hard day. And now that you have a kid, you look back and you wonder,
how did they do it?
How did they do it?
How did they do it? They just did it. And you're going to do the same for your kids when it's your turn.
Hopefully.
My transition story to U of H main campus, Go Cougs, was traumatic, but not because of family. My dad was a plant worker in Baytown, and he got me this. He would drop me off at the very beginning. He ended up getting me this sad little flesh-colored Ford Tempo.
You thought you were hot stuff, right?
No, it would fill up with rain because it had a leak that we could never find, and I had to scoop water out of the floorboard every time it rained. But that was later. At the beginning, he would just drop me off, and then they would come back and pick me up at the end of the day. Well, my first day, I had my books. I managed to do that by myself. It was much bigger than Ranger, much bigger than Ranger. And I didn't know a single soul. And I was depressed from losing my friends from the community college. We're still friends to this day. And it rained Houston rain, y'all. It rained like the rain we had today and the rain we had yesterday, just out of the blue for no reason, a monsoon. I was wearing hiking boots because they were cool at the time. And there was water in my boots. There was water in my backpack. My hair was flat. Horrors. And I cried in the bathroom because I couldn't find anything. Because the buildings at U of H, they're miles and miles apart, it feels like. And it's not that nobody wanted to help me. It was just that I was so overwhelmed and scared. And my fear of failure is very big. So I can sometimes have that fixed mindset about failure. But it was just that moment that where it all culminated into tears. And I just kind of melted there for a little while, and then I picked up my wet backpack and dumped the water out of my shoes and trudged along to Agnes Arnold Hall.
And went to class.
I think 250 students in the classroom when I walked in.
So rapid fire questions.
Okay, so texting or talking?
Texting.
Come on, favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
Bubba. Keep going. Just keep going.
Oh my gosh, mine's at least Chiquita.
I know.
It makes sense.
Bubba.
Okay. Favorite holiday? I already know what you're going to say.
Christmas.
I thought so. You seem like a Christmas person. How long does it take you to get ready?
It depends.
So you separate hair time from the rest of it?
I do. It depends. Like if I'm going to the gym, it doesn't really matter. If I'm coming to work.
Oh, okay, the rapid fire. Let's keep going. Okay. Scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
8.
Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Interesting. First celebrity crush?
America Ferrera.
Really? Mm-hmm. Ricky Martin. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Tin Roof by Bluebell.
Have you seen the HEB?
HEB. No,
Abuelita
Bluebell.
hot chocolate one? They have an Abuelita hot chocolate.
Bluebell. It has to be Bluebell.
It's not really Mexican.
Yes, from Brenham.
Okay.
Blinn.
Who has it easier, men or women?
Women.
Do you care to retract your answer?
No, I think women have it easier.
Okay. Name one of the 7 dwarfs.
Sleepy.
Are reindeers real creatures?
Yes.
Wow. Godfather or Star Wars?
Neither.
Ooh. Big dogs or small dogs?
Small dogs.
How many hours of sleep do you need?
4.
Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Oh, very good. Biodegradable. Are you politically correct?
No.
What's your favorite car?
BMW
Nice.
X5.
Details. Do you know how to salsa?
I know how to eat salsa.
Okay, we'll stop there. Great. Okay, that was good. So for each of our sessions, when we end, we wanted to do a grito-ish, not a real one. There are no margaritas here. So a grito-ish is a shout out to somebody that we admire, that we feel is changing the landscape for first generation students and the Latinx population. And I was going to see if he answered me. He hasn't yet, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I wanted to recognize Dr. Anthony Cruz, who is the new president of the Miami-Dade College in Miami. And he came from St. Louis. He was a VP at St. Louis Community College. He is a LinkedIn colleague that I admire greatly because of the work that he does for community college students. And he has a really excellent chapter in the book that I sent you that we have to feature soon. But the reason that I wanted to recognize you, Dr. Cruz, is because when I asked you about your week this week and how it was going, you said something that really resonated with me, and I think it will with our community as well. I said, how's it going? And you said that the faculty and staff are super friendly and that the campus considers itself a family. And I was just overwhelmed. I haven't even answered you because I was just so touched by what you said. And it goes back to what we were saying in our tips. Bring that sense of family. And if you're lucky enough to be at an institution where you feel that sense of family, then you're going to do so much better. And so, Dr. Cruz, thank you for saying that, for recognizing that your campus is outstanding because it has that sense of family. And we know that you're going to perpetuate that and continue it. So we wish you the best of luck. We'll be following you and watching you and celebrating the good things you do.
And congratulations on your first presidency. We're really excited for you.
Yeah.